how I transformed what I started doing in my junior year to my senior year, and then what I'm going to be doing in college and in my future endeavors. So during my sophomore year of high school, just like Ethan said, I was very bored. I was not being stimulated enough in school. I was acing all my classes with ease, and I just needed something a little bit more challenging for me for my last 2 years of high school. So in our district, we do something called ECAPS. We basically sit down as a class, my sophomore class sat down, and we have our teachers, counselors, and other people come in and present what other classes we can start taking that are more something maybe career focused. And Chad Akinlab, our director of Met Professional Academy, came in and talked about his program. At first I was like, okay, I don't know, I needed something, but when he started talking about the engineering strand, I was like, okay, I love design, I love math, I love art, I love science, maybe this is something I can do. So after a little bit more research on my part and my mom pushing me, I basically decided that I was definitely going to do this my junior year of high school. So in 2022 to 2023, I did join the Met Professional Academy as a first-year engineering student. We did many, many things. And the first day, to be honest, I was a little bit intimidated because unlike my peers, I did not take any engineering classes at my home school. I took mostly art classes and math classes that I kept pursuing for extra credit, not extra credit, but extra, what do they call it? Extra, just miscellaneous credits. And so everyone else already knew some of the programs. They'd taken engineering 1 through 4, and me not having taken any, I was like, okay, I hadn't taken any of the engineering classes, great. I hadn't taken any of the other science classes that people had taken. So it did take me a couple weeks to get caught up with the rest of my peers, but I did get caught up with the rest of my peers, learning all the new softwares such as SolidWorks, AutoCAD, MATLAB, Tinkercad, Excel, PowerPoint, all those things in great depth. And we applied a lot of those to some of the projects we did. Some of the projects we did were catapults, using projectile motions, kinematic equations with self-propelled cars. We learned how to apply how we did the mathematical equations for circuits, series, and parallel, into actually applying it and creating our own series and parallel circuits. One of the biggest projects we did was our City of Peoria project that I did with the rest of my peers. So this project consists of my entire class and I being split up into groups, and each of us giving our own intersection. The intersection I started out with was on 83rd Avenue and Jomax, and we had to figure out how could we improve the problem that was happening at this intersection. We had many professionals come in, along with Chris Lemka, teaching us the basics about traffic engineering. And then about halfway through the end of our semester, I got switched to another group because we had project mentors come in for each group who were currently working on that project, so we could get the real world experience through them while working on it at the same time. My group, unfortunately, our project wasn't going to be until the very far future, and so they thought it was best to get put on a different team to get that really good experience from a project mentor. So I got switched to the 83rd Avenue and Hillcrest Boulevard group with Ethan Lemka, and it was a little bit challenging at first because I missed the entire first semester of them seeing what the problem was, how to make sure that the intersection warranted a new traffic signal, and they had already been so integrated in the project, and I'm just coming in like, hi, like, okay. So then basically we had learned new things. We had to go over ADA manuals, the MUTCD, all these that were completely new to me, but I did find an appreciation for traffic engineering through all of this. One of the biggest things that helped us through this project was going on a site visit with our project mentor, Alyssa Witten from Greenlight, and she came in, was amazing. She was there every step of the way. Anytime I had a question, I could go to her, and she wouldn't give me an answer right away, of course. She would make me work for it, and that was what would help me with the process. So going on our site visit just showed all the things that what you can't see on a screen through county assessors or Google Maps. I got to see all the problems firsthand, the easement issues, the underground utilities, the real root of the problem being the traffic volume coming in and out this intersection, and how it was basically impossible to cross this intersection without like almost getting hit by a car. So now we're moving on to the biggest thing that we did in our project, which was learn AutoCAD and create a technical report to present in the end of the year. So we started with little things, and we had a second year come into our class to teach us the basics, starting off with outlining a intersections all throughout Peoria to get familiar with it. And then we moved on to bigger things by having professionals like Jordan Wong, who came in and taught us specifically and more technical things about AutoCAD that we had no idea about. So because this was such a big program, I took some time out of school and learned it, and I also just really wanted to get used to this because I wanted to be a good asset to my team since I was being put on a new team. And one of the biggest roles I had was creating the signing and striping for our intersection. I had no idea that there was a specific, that lines were just thrown everywhere. And going through the MUTCD, I realized that everything has its place. Every line has its meaning, every spacing has its meaning. The amount of space between a car to integrate into a left turn lane is very necessary. And so this is something high level, nothing I ever thought about, and just realizing that everything had its place was something that increased my appreciation for traffic engineering, and just made me look at everything differently when driving my car or walking down the street, realizing, okay, I know why they put this here. I know now. So learning this, just learning the different line types, the spacing and all that, it also prepared me for how to present specifically on our final presentation. At the end of the year, we had a final presentation where each of the groups came in and presented against each other, essentially, to a group of engineers from all different industries and backgrounds, so that it wasn't just traffic, and it made it a little bit harder because we had to explain things because we didn't know if someone in the audience did not know what we were talking about. So for our final presentation, everything coming together, I got help from everyone, making sure the signing and striping was correct because I was a little afraid that I did it completely wrong. But after having help from Ethan and Chris and Alyssa and just everyone, I knew that I was set to go. I did it right. I finally understood this to a different level. And after presenting, our group did win the final presentation. And just what I take from this is that I did not know, had no idea I didn't even know traffic engineering was a thing. I knew that someone did it, but I didn't know how they did it, how it all came together. And just to see the final result was honestly amazing. To this day, I am riding with my friends in the car, and they're saying, I wonder when the person's gonna click the red light to change it. I'm like, that is not how that works. So just knowing everything has a different level of meaning and all that was honestly great. So now moving on to my senior year. This is where we specifically had to hone in on what we wanted to do in college and in just a career in the future. So the biggest way I was able to find this out was by my internships, and that was the biggest milestone I ever had. So the way I got my internships were, I did a program called ACE Mentorship, which stands for Architecture, Construction, Engineering. And I had already done the engineering side of it, got all different types of disciplines of it. So I thought it'd be great to see how all three of these industries work together to just get a better understanding of what I wanted to. Because I was completely undecided. I knew I would still love designing, and I loved the 3D aspect of it and just being on computer software. So I knew I wanted to do something related to that. The ACE program lasted 18 weeks. I got to go to many project sites, construction sites, some of the ones I'd never been to, high schools, or just simple ones like a home design. I also got to talk to real world professionals of not just architecture or construction engineering, but structural engineering was something I completely thought about doing. I was like, okay, this is so cool. I love just looking at this and how it all works together. And one of the first internships I had was with Morrison Construction. I worked with them for 6 weeks. 3 out of those 6 weeks, I was in their home office in downtown in Tempe, and I had 3 managers, one of them being a pre-con phase manager, another being an estimator, and another being a just director over all the architects in the building. And what's crazy is all of them had architecture degrees, some had masters in it, and none of them worked in architecture. So just to see that I could still get an architecture degree and still pursue something completely other than architecture, have my options open, was something that was really just a deciding factor that, okay, I can do this. I can still go into construction if I really want to. And this internship did show me that. I got many things from this internship because out the last 3 weeks of it, I got to work on an actual project site where I was there from 6 in the morning to 3 o'clock every day for 3 weeks. And it was just a different environment going from an office to a construction site because they have completely different rules, completely different principles. And one of the biggest things I got to do was go to my first topping off ceremony. I had no idea where that was. It was an hour drive. I was like, okay, what am I getting myself into? I had no idea why they put a tiny little Christmas tree on top of the last steel beam, but I was actually able to sign my signature inside the last steel beam, which was something that is still deep in my heart because I know that my signature will forever be on the structural integrity of this building. I got to go with my 2 managers and they explained the whole process to me. There were so many people gathered because they wanted to see how much progress was the building making, and everyone was so happy to see that the structure of this building was finally done. Another really big thing I got to go do was see a lot of construction sites, and one of the biggest ones I got to see was a Kohler project. And it was the largest construction site I've ever been to because the building was going to be at 1 million square feet. And I thought I had toured all of it. In fact, I toured a fourth of it. So there's me standing there and I was so tiny next to it, and it was just amazing to see. My tour guide was awesome, showed me all the different construction partners that were working with them, how they had to team up because the project was so large. And the biggest thing I gained from working with Morrison is that I have options. I can pursue construction, and that construction is honestly one of the coolest things I've ever seen. So now during my senior year of high school, I worked with an architect named Brennan Erdl. He was one of our mentors at ACE Mentorship, and he has his own company named BE Designs. So I had now done the engineering side of it, now the construction, and the last puzzle of this piece is architecture. I had to get all 3 to understand that I knew for certain I wanted to go into one of these fields. And so here are some of the projects that I was doing. I had to do a landscaping project of one of his current homes that he had already built because he wanted to see different perspectives on what should be input into this home. I personally do not like landscaping at all. I am not that creative when it comes to knowing where to place trees, where to put the lights. Does this look right? Does this look aesthetically pleasing? And so this just kind of was a challenge for me, but it was something I definitely needed to do to say I had done it and to understand it. And the one on the far over there is just a site plan, which is something I needed to learn as well because I had some scaling issues and the property lines weren't adding up, the building wasn't adding up, and knowing just where to place property lines, what the different line types are going to be, and also the setbacks of the property being so to know not to touch those and things like that. Here's just some other projects I did. This was Brennan's Burnell Garage project, and here I got to do something I'd never done, which was place the foundation of the building and the roof framing plan of the building. So for the roof framing plan, it looks a lot more complicated than it is. I was like, okay, I'm supposed to create every single one of those lines. So when doing it, he taught me step by step. He taught me the first part of it, and then I was supposed to apply it, which was how we did most of our projects. He showed me a little bit, and then I had to basically take what he taught me and apply it to everything else I had learned. So throughout this process, I have taken what I learned from AutoCAD down to the lingo, to the keyboard commands since they are owned by the same company, down to the just how everything works, and applied it to my now current software I'm using, which is Revit. If you're unfamiliar with Revit, Revit is a 2D and 3D software that is mostly used by architects, and it has other purposes as well, along with MEP, but I mostly use it for architecture only. And this software was completely new to me, and I started using it during my ACE mentorship program during the last semester of my junior year of high school. This is what I started out doing. I had no real place. I threw things everywhere. As long as it had a kitchen, bathroom, and bedroom, it looked fine to me. So the windows made no sense. The bathroom and kitchen were sometimes on the opposite ends of the entire building, making absolutely no sense as well because of the utilities. And just seeing this now even still shocks me that I used to do this because I'm like, wow, that's super bad. But here is now what I'm doing. This is just something I first started with Brennan. he thought it'd be best to do something we personally had experience with which was our home. My home, where I could go and survey all the spacing between things, get real life surveying, and something that already currently existed, so I can make it look as real life as possible. So when we created, he had us only create the first floor because everything important in this first floor is in here. Sorry. So it has our cabinetry and kitchenry, all of the bathrooms, hallways, staircasing, and my house even had a first floor bedroom, so that was also something that was really nice. I had to go in and tag every single object down to windows, doors, and wall types to make sure that if a contractor were reading it, they can reference the later pages in the plan set and realize, okay, if the window said A, then this is the window type. So that was something I had no idea that you needed to do. I don't know what I assumed, that contractors knew exactly what window type I was referring to. So something like this just showed me that I'm making progress, I'm learning more, I'm finding my way throughout all of this. We also had to dimension an entire floor plan, which was different because Brendan has very specific ways he does things. He always tells us you never want it to look messy, you don't want contractors or engineers reading your plan set and complaining, saying, I can't read this, you have to go in and fix this. So I, subconsciously or not, I picked up on all of his little knick-knack ways running throughout Revit and just making it really clean and clear cut. Over here we have some of the section cuts that we did, which got me to show the installation and wood pieces throughout the walls, also how each spacing in the ABC and aggregate, along with the concrete and footing, and how the earthing has to be placed a certain way. And so here's some other things I learned, just labeling everything specifically and how to do it, and just making it look really clean and clear cut. And I would have never known this if I had never had this internship. I've been told today that I know more than most college sophomores and juniors because most of them aren't introduced to the software Revit or any type of designing software until their junior or senior year of college. So one of the current projects I'm working on is with ACE again. I decided to do it a second year because I loved it so much and I gained so much from the first year doing it that we have, so the project we're currently working on is to design a tiny home. And one of the biggest things was sustainability. So we as my team, we created our tiny home based on the material of shipping containers to get that reuse and recycle property in there. So in here you can see just how I took everything I learned from Brennan, my internships, and the Friday project and applied it here with a lot of thought, knowing that when you first walk in, the first thing you shouldn't see is a kitchen. You're walking in maybe a living room or just a dining room and things like that. So everything in here has a purpose, along with the second floor. Here you can see I mentioned a couple things. I finally figured out how to do staircases because I would only make homes that were one story because I refused to do staircases. And so everything just looks a lot more clean and clear cut. Here's some exterior elevations that I learned how to do with Brennan, how to label everything properly so that somebody who's reading the plan set can know, okay, the whole height of this building is 15 feet tall, the window is this tall, and then labeling it a step further by saying, okay, 15, like bottom of BO or TO of wall, window, door, or ceiling. And here's just a 3D model of it, which I was definitely not really good at first. I had learned how to just place everything better, make it look a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. I learned how to create pools in the backyard because this building is based in Arizona. A pool is almost necessary unless you want to die. So basically, everything I've learned is now wrapping up into this. And I just want to wrap up by saying that none of this would be possible if I did not join the Met Professional Academy, if I had not listened and just maybe went on my phone when Chad came in and talked to everybody, or if I didn't take that leap of faith saying, I'm going to do this internship, and then I'm going to do this internship. And hopefully I'm going to get to do another internship this summer, either with Morrison, continue with Brennan throughout my summer, or a possible one with Michael Baker International. I also want to say that I am continuing my education at Howard University in DC. I am going to be doing their 5-year master architecture program, and that everything I have learned is coming
so excited to see what my future holds.